I want to welcome all of you to the first virtual congregational meeting in the history of Temple Emanu-El. We're going to start in a few minutes. We just want to make sure that everyone has a chance to log on before we start. We're going to start with a little bit of a blessing and Torah from Rabbi Prosnit. Rabbi.
Good evening, Erev Tov. It is nice to see you all. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How wonderful are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. We begin most Shabbat morning services with those words, first found in the Torah portion of Balak, a section of the book of Numbers that we will read in a couple of weeks. Balak hires the pagan soothsayer Balaam to curse the neighboring Israelite tribes. But whenever he opens his mouth, rather than a curse, a blessing comes out. How good are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. In Torah study, we learn of parallelism and the potential for added meaning when two verses say pretty much the same thing. Your tents, your dwelling places. Jacob, Israel. So the teaching becomes, how do you turn curses into blessing? And the answer? By making your tents into sacred dwelling places, and by helping Jacob become part of a holy community, the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel. For some of the rabbis in days of old, the tents weren't just the things they bought at REI, but they were the sanctuaries, and the dwelling places weren't just homes, they were schools, places of prayer, education, and communal responsibility. That then became the mission of the buildings that would become the synagogue. One thing we've learned this past 3 months is that a synagogue is not the building, it's the people. And the community we create can emanate from the tiny boxes on our home computers and the phone calls we make to each other to check in and show our presence. Not optimum, but curses into blessings, and still very much where we find our creative strength in challenging times. So in that spirit, I pray, Eternal God, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. On this night of our congregational meeting, we give thanks for the accomplishments of the past year, even as we rededicate ourselves to the task and mission which will lie ahead. Bless those who bear the responsibility of leadership. May their eyes always be open to your truth, their spirits alive to your teaching. Be with this congregation as it enters its 71st year. Bless its members and their families with health and well-being, that together we may seek to carry forward the work of this sacred congregation. Amen.
Thank you very much, Rabbi. That was beautiful. Jackie, can you put up the agenda on the screen? So here is the agenda for tonight's meeting. Just wanted everyone to see what we're going to do. The next two items I'm going to present, and I'm also going to make my year-end report. And after that, we'll have some congregants speak, and then I'll turn it over to Terry and Rabbi going forward. So everyone except the people who are presenting this evening will be on mute. Please use the chat room to present questions during the meeting. Questions will be reviewed, and then they will be repeated by, I think it's you, Rabbi, who's going to review them. Thank you. The first item is to have the minutes of our June 2019 meeting accepted by the congregation. I'm not going to call for a formal vote, but I'm going to ask the congregation to agree to accept the minutes without objection. If there is an objection, please raise your hand. But the minutes have been reviewed and they look accurate and fine. Okay. The next item is for the congregation to approve the nominating committee's recommendation for the candidates to serve as officers and trustees. Even though the ballot was previously sent to the congregation, given that we're having a virtual meeting, I'm going to again have the ballot put up on the screen so everyone can see it. Yeah, that's better. We generally have a vote on this, so we're going to vote electronically tonight. And the way that does work, I even tried it and it seemed to work. You submit your vote by clicking on the participant icon at the bottom of your screen. When you click on that, you'll see a screen where you can vote yes or no. So at this point, we'll put up the screen and you can see it. And maybe Jackie will explain how you go about it. And then I'm going to call for the vote.
So if everybody sees the participant tab at the bottom of the screen, you're going to click on that, and then you'll see a button for yes and a button for no. So go ahead and click on one of those buttons.
Right. So we'll pause now and give everyone a chance to vote. We'll then tally the vote, and I will announce the results. Ed, at the bottom of your screen, there's like a silhouette of two people. It's called participants. If you click on that, that will take you to a screen where you can see a yes or no at the bottom.
The question was asked, what are we voting on? It is for the slate of the officers and board of trustees for the 2020-21 year.
Right.
22 as well.
Jackie, can you repeat, please, the instructions?
Yep. So at the bottom of the screen, if you click on the participants button, you'll see two buttons on the left side, one for yes and one for no. So go ahead and click on one of those two buttons.
Oh, the yes has a green check and the no has an X.
There was a question about the quorum marked.
Yes, quorum is 40 people. I think right now we have 99. Given my keen mathematical mind, I think we have a quorum.
And Mark, we have 64, 65 yeses so far.
Good.
If you're using a different device, like an iPad, the participant button is at the top of your screen.
I just want to wait a few more minutes to make sure everyone has a chance to vote. So Jackie, what's the tally look like now?
We have 68 yeses and 0 nos.
Okay. I feel comfortable basically saying that the recommended slate of officers and trustees have been approved by the congregation. Thank you all very much. I think we have a great board coming. We'll talk about that a little later on. And the board will be installed at Shabbat services, not this Shabbat, but the 19th of June. Great. You can take the screen down now. Thank you. So last year at this time, at our annual meeting, we stated what we felt we needed to do moving forward, what our future goals were going to be. One was to engage a senior rabbi who would make Temple Emanu-El his or her long-term home, and to also immediately search for an interim rabbi to lead us spiritually, as well as helping us with the transition to our new senior rabbi. We then commenced to meet these goals. In July, the board approved the retention of Rabbi Bennett Miller as our interim senior rabbi. Now, as his service terms nears an end, I want to take the opportunity on behalf of the congregation to express our gratitude and thanks to Rabbi Miller for guiding us through difficult times with patience, wisdom, and spirituality. I add my personal appreciation for his advice and his friendship, and to our sacred partnership. We formed a search committee to recommend a candidate to be our next senior rabbi. Both the search committee and the board of trustees unanimously approved the recommendation that Rabbi Ethan Prosnet be selected as our next senior rabbi. We should be proud that our incoming senior rabbi is one of our own. From the start of the search process, we were committed to identifying a senior rabbi who is capable of inspiring the congregation spiritually, has impeccable intellectual qualifications, shows personal warmth and magnetism, and connects with people and cares for their personal needs. We sought someone who can lead and motivate the Emanu-El community. Rabbi Prosnet is that individual. So welcome, Rabbi. In addition, we'll be starting the coming year with a dedicated and an experienced team of clergy and staff that, in partnership with our incoming lay leadership, with Terry Class as president, will create an exciting future for our Temple Emanu-El community. I extend my congratulations and best wishes to Terry. Although our building, as Rabbi noted, was required to close and remains closed, the temple remained open. Our programs and services have continued without missing a beat. For example, just this past week, we hosted a virtual B'nai Mitzvah, conducted a funeral for Shiva minions. Our parking lot was the scene of a challah drive-by to greet and honor Cantor Rubel and Avra Lee. Over 300 challah were distributed. Michelle and Abra were further honored at Shabbat services, followed by a virtual Shabbat dinner. Trudy led an encore of its Havdalah virtual game night. We had the opportunity to learn how to prepare shakshuka, as well as to hear a tutorial about voting by mail as part of our civic engagement campaign. And of course, we had the opportunity to continue Torah study at the Tuesday morning Bible class and on Saturdays at Holy Scrolls. The success of these events, as well as countless others, are due to the efforts and talents of our outstanding staff. Our teachers and administrators deserve our heartfelt thanks. They worked on home computers and phones to ensure that all of the services, meetings, learning sessions, and more were timely and accurately communicated to the congregation. Many, many Zoom meetings. I also want to commend Mike Kenny and the maintenance crew who have kept our building sanitized and the grounds immaculate. Our controller, Kathleen Stovall, used her experience and determination in securing our PPP loan. The success of that application is in large part due to Kathleen's efforts. During this past year, I have repeatedly witnessed our congregants' dedication to and love for Temple Emanu-El. It is deep and lasting, as demonstrated by your participation and attendance at services, religious school, the ECE, learning and study sessions, at Men's Club and Sisterhood, and in your work in committees and task forces. Whenever there was a call for volunteers, regardless of the subject, the Joshua Pottery, the listening campaign, social action, search committees and task force, contributing to the COVID-19 fund, and so many others, your response was overwhelming, such that we could not accommodate all who wished to participate. We are blessed with a strong congregation. Let us continue to be strong and to strengthen each other. It has been my honor and privilege to serve as your president these past 2 years. Thank you. I now want to welcome 3 congregants, Tracy Hennis, Michael Saxon, and Lauren Gubera, who will reflect on meaningful moments that they had as part of the Temple Emanu-El community this past year.
Over the last 3 months, already amazing EC teachers and staff really shined. We may have all been at home, but our EC community continued to learn and play together through Zoom class sessions, individual FaceTime calls with our teachers, school-wide sing-alongs, and Shabbat and holiday celebrations, including an Oscar-worthy Passover movie starring our teachers. The regular connections with our teachers and friends maintained a sense of normalcy and routine for our young children, and all the suggested activities let our family experience learning together. Just 2 of the many examples that I shared with my family included growing plants from parsnip tops with my 2-year-old and watching my pre-K student complete the Foundation's handwriting program and be completely prepared for kindergarten next year. We ended this extraordinary school year with a wave parade for the 2s and the 3s and a celebration for our pre-K students, which in addition to a virtual component, included our teachers parading around the parking lot and each student decorating a rock for Teva, so that in the words of Rabbi Plosnit, Temple Emanu-El will continue to be a place for them to come back to. With the completion of our school year, we have a lot to look forward to in the upcoming year. Enrollment has been successful, with all the classes either full or nearly full, and extensive waiting lists for some age groups. And we're all excited to be offering full-day options, not just for our infants and toddlers, but for the entire school in the upcoming year.
Thank you. Michael?
Good evening, everyone. You know, it's funny, if I think back to a year ago, and if you ask me what is the least likely thing to happen, I might have said that I would be here next year, being engaged, excited, and proud to be a member of this congregation. But in fact, that's what's happened. Some of you may know that there's been a program called the Joshua Project, where some of us were asked to participate and learn about the temple in the hopes that we'd become more engaged, more involved, become some of the lay leaders in the synagogue. And I did it with, I'll admit, not sure, uncertainty about what would happen. I came out of that program really proud to be a member of this congregation. I learned about the history of the congregation, its history in fighting injustice, how it grew, some of the amazing members that have been part of this congregation. I met really impressive, really fantastic people, and I saw that there was a vision for making our congregation a really powerful center of modern Jewish life. And I left that program committed to being a part of that and committing to do whatever I could to help us. And, I'd like to just call out Nancy Mankat, Marcia Wasser for, stepping into the abyss and leading us, and Rabbi Prosnit for stepping up and providing, rabbinic leadership. But it was a really powerful and transformative experience, and I look forward to working with as many of you as possible going forward.
Thank you, Michael.
Can you hear me?
Hi.
Okay, sorry, because
Hi.
my screen froze. When this pandemic hit and the temple decided to be as awesome temple it is, and what can we do for everyone in the neighborhood and the community, and they right away sent out emails asking like who would be willing to help with some of our elderly community members. I was feeling really helpless at home here. Like I'm not like on the front line. I'm not a doctor or nurse in the hospital helping. And so when I got that email from the temple, who would be happy, to help out with some of our elderly community members, I thought, well, this would be perfect. This is something I can do from the home, and a way to help out. So anyways, I called a bunch of members, but there was this one member that I think Rabbi President asked if I just wanted to speak about real quick. This one elderly lady, and she lives in a house all by herself, and she was just so happy the very first time that I called her, and I ended up making a friendship with her that would never have happened if it wasn't for this time period and that first phone call. And I've called her week after week, and she's so cute, and she looks forward to my phone calls, and it's just something that really brightens, I think, her day, the day that I call. She's always excited to hear from me and just to have somebody to talk to and connect with. I also helped connect her with some home-cooked meals. I also helped, I tried to help get her on Shabbat services one night. She really wanted to get on. So it's been wonderful. And also, it was a good learning experience for my children. I like to model for them ways to give, to do charity and give back to the community. And the children loved hearing my stories each week about my phone calls with the lady. And, I hope that when they grow up that they want to do things like that too and help out others. And we're excited once this is over. We're excited to meet her and to continue a friendship with her and to continue helping her even more. Like, I know she wants help with technology. So once this is over, I'm going to go to her house and help her out.
Great. Great. So I think the three of you proved my point about what a strong congregation we have. Terry, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Wonderful to see everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Mark for all his hard work for the past 2 years as our temple president. He faced challenges that none of us could have predicted, and he did it with passion and with purpose. And toda rabah, Mark.
Thank you.
These past 6 months, you and I partnered together to begin the process of building a more transparent and relationship-focused community. And I appreciate your willingness to collaborate with me and support me in my new vision for the congregation. So thank you. And I also want to express my gratitude, as you did, Mark, as well, to Rabbi Miller for his extraordinary guidance and compassion during this past year of transition. His deep insights into helping us heal and build a new framework of leadership has been beyond measure. I truly mean it. He was the perfect rabbi for Temple Emanu-El during this time. And I will miss his stories and wise Jewish perspectives. And we'll be honoring Rabbi Miller at our June 19th Shabbat service, so don't miss that. Please join us. And thank you to the entire Temple Emanu-El community for staying strong and resilient. And I want to give a special thanks to all those congregants who generously donated to the COVID-19 Relief Fund. We have over $82,000 in donations so far. And we are immensely grateful to the benefactors who contributed between $5,000 and $10,000. And we're planning on sharing all the donor names with a big thank you to all of you shortly. And I'm so proud of all of us. And I hope that we can get to $100,000 by the end of July. So if you haven't donated yet, please help us reach that goal. And I'm most excited to be working in sacred partnership with Rabbi Prosnit. And you'll see that the transition committee has put together some virtual fireside chats with Rabbi Prosnit as he shares his dreams for Temple Emanu-El. Make sure to sign up. And I'm looking forward to partnering with Cantor Novick and all of our clergy, as well as our professional and administrative staff. There's so much to be grateful for as we embark on a new year ahead. I want you to imagine, and invite you to imagine with me, the temple community tonight. Think about the wonderful opportunities we have in front of us as we pivot to building a relationship culture. Imagine with me tonight, welcoming in new members by helping them become more connected to our congregation through our new membership advancement program, as well as budding them up with our new membership committee to get to know more about our vibrant temple community. Imagine reaching out to both new and longtime members of our congregation to become part of our Saturday Fun Club, or join one of our congregational learning programs, or discover new holiday traditions, or volunteer on a committee. Imagine engaging with members of our temple community to deliver honey to congregant families at Rosh Hashanah. And imagine building relationships with members from all different backgrounds and ages to create a temple Torah, where we can learn how a Torah is written, and we donate letters for a scribe to create our special Temple Emanu-El Torah. Our newly formed development committee is busy at work, so stay tuned for that. And imagine a board of trustees who reaches out to the congregation on a frequent basis, sharing important issues and listening to their concerns. And imagine continuing our virtual services and classes that have been so well attended, even after we can return to our beautiful building. And then asking a very important question. Is everyone really yearning to be back in the sanctuary? And what is sanctuary? Let's make Temple Emanu-El a Jewish home where each congregant feels like they are valued and belong, where you can come for comfort and support. A sacred community where we are all here for each other. I invite each of you to join me on this journey to write our next chapter for our temple community.
Please join me. Oh God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Let's do it again so you can try it this time. Oh God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Va'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham va'anachnu nevarech Yah me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
6 years ago, I shared these words. This is not the sermon I hoped to preach for my first Shabbat at Temple Emanu-El. You may remember war had just broken out in Israel. Rockets were being launched from Gaza. So instead of giving a feel-good, get-to-know-me sermon, I preached about the unfolding violence in Israel. Now, as I appear on your computer screen this evening, I share these words as your incoming senior rabbi. This is not the senior rabbi's report that I imagined sharing at my first congregational meeting. I would much rather be with all of you in our chapel, sharing my vision for the future of our synagogue. However, I would be remiss if I didn't take time and reflect on two history-shaping events that are impacting our community, our country, and our world: the COVID-19 pandemic and the Black Lives Movement. It's hard to fathom that just 3 months ago we hosted a raucous Purim Carnival. Since that time in early March, COVID-19 has deeply affected our congregation. Many in our community became sick with the virus, were bedridden for weeks, quarantined from their families and admitted to the hospitals for care. Some of our congregants are still suffering today, trying to regain their strength. We continue to pray for refuah shlema, a complete healing of body and spirits. Many in our community lost loved ones to COVID-19. At the beginning of this pandemic, we officiated at many funerals for those who had died of the virus. For everybody who has experienced a loss during this pandemic, Mourning rituals have been upended as we've been unable to gather in our traditional ways. We continue to send our love and strength to those who are grieving, and we want you to know that we will continue to be here for your family and friends. Many in our community have been on the front lines of this pandemic. We offer our gratitude to all of the essential workers who have had and continue to work tirelessly, supporting patients, families, and our communities to give us strength and fortitude moving forward. Many in our community have lost jobs and experienced financial setbacks. During these challenging times, Temple Emanu-El remains a place where anyone can turn, regardless of finances. We are your home. Throughout these 3 months, all of us have felt a sense of loss. We have missed college or high school graduations, delayed weddings and b'nai mitzvahs, replanned family vacations, experienced isolation while quarantining in our homes, and missed celebrating holidays with our family. This has been a challenging and unprecedented time, and our Temple community continues to learn, vision, and plan so that we can provide comfort, connection, and camaraderie. No doubt COVID-19 will shape our Judaism and Temple community going forward, both on a financial and on a programmatic level. But instead of ruminating over the losses, I want to spend a few moments talking about silver linings of this pandemic. One of which has been the creativity that our synagogue has implemented to remain relevant and connected. To me, this is the very essence of Reform Judaism. We adapt to changing times to ensure our Judaism can thrive. And in the coming year, we will continue to be creative with our services, with our educational offerings, and with our social connections. We are planning the reopening of our building, and we expect to pray in person this summer, first outside, and then moving back into our sanctuary. We are busy dreaming and designing our High Holy Days. They will look different than past years, but we will make sure to capture the essence of the days of awe. We are updating our live streaming technology so that all of our services, learning, and events have the option of being both in person and virtual. Our youth learning and engagement team and our early childhood centers are scenario planning so that our learners can continue to learn and celebrate their Judaism. There are many unknowns, but I'm confident that in partnership with our lay leaders and our professional staff, that we will make decisions that continue to make our congregation thrive. And now I want to turn to the Black Lives Matter movement. Before the coronavirus pandemic hit, 50 congregants gathered in the chapel to watch the documentary about Rabbi Prince, as we prepared for our civil rights journey trip to the South, which is now rescheduled for May 2021. One line from the film continues to resonate with me. The most urgent, the most disgraceful, the most shameful, and the most tragic problem is silence. Rabbi Prince shared these words on August 28, 1963, at the March on Washington. At the time, Rabbi Prince was the president of the American Jewish Congress and rabbi of Temple B'nai Abraham in Newark. Prince came to the podium right before Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. Prince challenged the Jewish community and all Americans to work together, for it's not enough to hope together, and it is not enough to pray together, but to work together to become a glorious, unshakable reality in a morally renewed and united America. As a Temple community, we must address the racism that is plaguing our country. Rabbi David Stern of Dallas urges that God, who heard the cry of the oppressed, required us to listen to narratives of racism, to exposures of white privilege, and educational inequities and mythical meritrocities. We do not need to agree with everything we hear, but we need to hear it. And when that hearing produces pain, then we need to feel it. And if that pain motivates us to create a more just and safe society, instead of silencing the truths that disturb us, we will know that we have broken through the silence towards hope. So that is how our congregation will start. We will listen. We will learn. And at times, I'm sure we will be uncomfortable. We are forming a team of lay leaders to help develop our racial justice work so we can begin these conversations, first within our communities and then focus outwardly. We are committed to deepening our relationship with Black churches in our area, as well as the MLK Association of Westfield and the Social Justice Matter group in Scotch Plains. We hope that many of you will be integrally involved in this work. During the rabbinic search, when I was asked where I saw Temple Emanu-El in 5 years, I responded that I hope other congregations, the Reform movement, in the larger Jewish and non-Jewish world will look at our congregation as a visionary synagogue. I believe we will do this through our work impacted by COVID-19, as well as our partnerships and actions addressing racial justice. To me, a visionary congregation is one that demonstrates a sacred purpose, a holistic ethos, a participatory culture, meaningful engagement, innovative disposition, and a reflective leadership. To become a visionary synagogue, both outreach and inreach are crucial. The single biggest reason why people don't get involved remains that they were never asked. We need to ask, what are your talents? What are your gifts? What does a new generation want of its synagogue? What are you concerned about? What are the pressures that impact you and your family? What keeps you up at night? How can we, this temple community, help? The strength of Reform Judaism has long been its ability to recognize and willingness to respond to the changing trends in our society. We don't create the trends, but we do synthesize effective responses and bring the changing fabric of American society into the framework of Jewish life and tradition. That's what Reformed Jews did in the 19th century. That's what was done throughout the 20th century. And that, of course, is the challenge for today as we enter our 71st year of a congregation. I feel confident that our community is up for this challenge. Before I conclude my remarks this evening, annual meetings are good times to take stock of all that we have done this past year and express gratitude to those who dedicate so much time and effort on the business and welfare side of our congregation. To the outgoing board and executive committee, the past presidents and others who are still engaged, I express my thanks. A special appreciation to our soon-to-be past president, Mark Epstein, who I interviewed with 6 years ago, and he shared with me how engaged and warm this community is. He was not wrong. Mark, you have been so dedicated to this congregation. Thank you. And I look forward to working in partnership with our incoming president, Terry Klass, and our incoming board as we can carry out this sacred vision together. I also feel blessed to be part of such a team. First off, to Chuck Kroloff, my teacher and my rabbi, who has taught me and guided me so much over the past 6 years. A very special acknowledgement to Bennett Miller for your mentorship, your wisdom, and helping with this smooth transition. And I'm thankful to my colleagues, Martha, Michelle, Abra, Jill, Alice, Mike, Kathleen, Samantha, Erin, Jackie, and Becky, who have created a space to dream and be creative. And I do look forward to welcoming Rabbi Victor Appel, Cantor Anna Ott, and Samara Schwartz, who will be joining our team on July 1st. To all the administrative and support staff who make the synagogue run on a daily basis, we cannot be here without you. To my family, Ariel, your support and your guidance is unmeasurable. And Caleb and Zoe, this experience is even richer with you, by my side or popping into the end of services. And most importantly, to all of you, I want to thank our Temple Emanu-El family for your support, your commitment, and your connections to this congregation. I'm confident that in 5 years, because of your energy, participation, and dedication, people will be talking about that visionary synagogue at 756 East Broad Street in Westfield, New Jersey.
Okay, you know what? I think we're now going to ask Bob to present the budget. Thank you, Rabbi Prosnick. Beautiful. Is Bob unmuted? Let's see.
Can you hear me? There we
Yes.
go.
There you go.
I'm going to apologize quickly in advance. I've been having a little trouble with my audio that keeps cutting out, so Mark has volunteered to jump in if I cut off here in the middle. Thank you all for coming and participating tonight. As you know, on Monday night, we did a formal presentation of the budget. We had over 50 congregants joining that meeting, and we had a very robust discussion about the budget at that time. The budget has had the support of the Budget Committee.
I think Bob has,
Did I cut out?
yeah, you cut
Yeah.
out. Do you
Am I
want?
back?
You're
Yes.
back.
Oh, okay. So tonight we're asking for you as congregants to approve the budget. And we would like to do that in the same manner that we did to vote for the slate of the board for next year. And maybe I think, Jackie, if you could just
Yep. So if everyone goes back to their participants tab, again, we're going to do the same process as before. The green checkbox is for yes, and the red X is for no.
As people are voting, I just wanted to mark that the ballot that we put on the for the new board was a little outdated. There are now two 2D representatives who are co-presidents, Aiden Berman and Dylan Berger. So we voted on them as well. Congratulations to them. There was a question about the highlights of the budget. Jackie, was the Monday program recorded?
Yes, it was recorded.
So if anyone would like to see the highlights of the budget or the questions that were asked, all questions that were asked were answered, that we can make sure to reach out to Jackie Gruscott and she can share the budget presentation with all of you.
I'll put my email in the chat.
How's the vote going?
We are at 67 yes and 3 no.
Okay. Wait
Hey,
a
Mark,
few-
I haven't seen the numbers change in a little bit, so we're at 69 yes and 3 no.
Okay. One of my last official acts as president, I'll declare that the congregation has approved the budget for the fiscal year 2020-21. Thank you all for your support.
Okay. And I would now like to ask Cantor Novick to please offer a closing prayer for us tonight.
It's a little dark if I can see it.
Hi, Cantor.
Take a moment to look at your hands. Really, take a moment to look at your hands. These hands do not belong to you. These are not just your hands. These are the hands of our parents and our grandparents. These are the hands of our children, and for some, our grandchildren. These are the hands, and hold on to the past. And these are the hands that help us shape our future. We are not alone on this road that we walk. We are carried by the generations that came before us. We have been carried by great heights of learning, by our wise and great rabbis. Rabbi Kroloff, Rabbi Miller, whom we'll miss. And now we take an exciting step into the future with Rabbi Prosnit, who spoke so beautifully a moment ago. And our leaders, soon to be past President Mark Epstein, whom I have dreamed of him being president ever since I've known him. I hope you know that we all stood by you, Mark. And once again, we welcome back Terry class to our fold. How blessed are we? We will carry the generations that are to come. We will teach them the joys of being Jewish. We will teach them to be proud Jews, learned Jews, and Jews who pledge their lives to making this congregation and our world a much better place, where all people live with dignity and hope. This is our hope. This is our connection to each other. And this will be our promise. Even in a troubled world, we are blessed and we are holy. We must never forget that. We have strength to do God's work, to carry us into a better world. We, as a Kehillah Kadosha, a holy congregation, have the strength to take our hands and hold on tight to each other, together, to fulfill that dream Kain Yehi Ratzon. May it be God's will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. I guess we can
No
cooperate.
parking space?
What? We can
No parking on the high holy days.
Beautiful. Terry, I think we could adjourn the meeting
Yes.
together.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all, and stay well and stay safe.
Thank you again. Bye.
And bless you, Rabbi Prasnett, for such a beautiful speech.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Cantor Rubel for her beautiful song. Can we all talk now? Hi.
Sure.
Gotta log out. Where's my meeting? Oh, leave.
The Hotel California.
Okay, so when's the staff going to get yogurt? Where's
my yogurt?
Where's my ice cream? That used to be a thing we all did. We used to go get ice cream after the annual meeting.
So foodie.
No, sadly. I'll have to go eat some by myself, I guess.
Enjoy it.
Samantha,
You deserve it.
Samantha, it's your first meeting, Samantha, and you don't get yogurt. I'm going to bring you yogurt.
Have a great night, everyone. Be well.
I think